the question I get a lot is, how do I get my spouse to want me again? I feel like they don't desire to be close to me. There's not much intimacy. Our sex life is struggling. I hear this all the time. And a lot of times what I hear is couples come in and they say, that person needs to change because they're not being very nice to me. They better change so that they love me again. And that's not very attractive. You're coming in pouting, playing the victim, um, trying to force them into loving you won't get them to want to love you. So you need to understand something here. On a base level, we are beings of energy. We put energy out to the world. There's, with our emotions, those are wavelengths of energy going out there. And like energy attracts to each other. If I'm a very depressed person who has a lot of fear, who has a lot of sadness, that's the type of person that is going to be able to hang in a relationship with me. So if my spouse is in a good place, if she's feeling peace, joy, happiness, willingness to engage in life, and I'm down here in this depressed state of mind, full of guilt and shame and all of those things, she's not going to really want to go hang out with me down here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can shift that so that your spouse will want to get close to you. The most attractive thing in a relationship is a person who's confident, a person who has strength. And if you have strength, then that other person is going to want to connect to that because it's good for them. It's good for them to connect to something that has strength. What does it look like to not have strength? If you're a person that doesn't have integrity, you lie a lot, you're dishonest, you have a lot of addictions that you don't have control over, those things are going to lower your frequencies and make it so that you're not very attractive. There's 3 things that will help support you to be able to be an attractive spouse to your spouse. First, can you create safety in the relationship? Do you have the ability to hold space, to provide validation, to be able to be authentic and honest in that relationship so that there is safety? There's safety for you to be you, and there's safety for them to be them. If you have that, if you take everything the other person says defensively, or as we call it in therapy, you're extremely codependent. Everything they say means the world about you. Your self-worth you're getting from them. You're not going to be a safe partner. But if you find your validation and your self-worth and your self-confidence outside of the relationship, you'll be able to not take personally what they say. You'll be able to dig underneath and connect to their emotions, hold space for them, and so that you can explore with them who they are. You can validate with them the world around them. And they're going to feel loved. They're going to feel understood, connected to, if you can hold that space. The reason why it's hard is because it's vulnerable to hold space for somebody else. There's a level of uncomfortableness to it. But if you're strong, you're able to do that. If you're strong and you're able to do that, then you're attractive in a relationship. People want to open up to you, get close to you, be honest with you, because you can empathize and you can validate what they have to say. And there's a lot of skills to that. There's reflective listening skills. There's empathy skills. There's things that you can do. But the most important part to that is that you have your self-worth intact so that you can create that safety. The other thing that destroys safety is lying, dishonesty, denial. If you're living in a lot of denial, you're manipulating, you're justifying, you're rationalizing, then you are shattering the foundation of a relationship. So if you have addiction, this is why addiction ruins relationships, because addiction requires some level of denial in order to continue the destructive behavior in a relationship. So addiction is an attachment disorder because you have to be in some denial to be in an addiction. Therefore, the partner has a hard time connecting to the addict because they're in so much denial. They're not living in reality. They're manipulating reality. And as they manipulate reality, they're telling a lot of lies to themselves and to people around them. So working your way out of an addiction, understanding what denial is, being an authentic, honest person. And here's another key, you guys, doing that consistently over time. You have integrity. That person knows you and who you are, and they can trust that you're going to consistently be honest with them. If that's intact, you're creating some safety in the relationship. If you're a liar and then you tell the truth sometimes and then you're a liar, that's not going to get them to want to be close to you. Their natural instinct is going to say, be careful with this person. Don't open up too much. Don't be too vulnerable. Don't be too intimate, because there's a breakdown in the safety there. Okay. So honesty, along with that empathy, add in a little consistency, and you show up with integrity in the relationship, you're going to be able to create that foundation of safety in the relationship. Okay, that's just the foundation, you guys. That your partner still might not be very attracted to you. Okay. The next thing is what I call polarity. And this is a little more complicated, but it has to do with masculine and feminine energy. The masculine is attracted to the feminine, and the feminine is attracted to the masculine. So if you have, and in most relationships, 90% of the time, the man is the masculine energy in the relationship. 10% or 90% of the time, the woman is the feminine energy. But that's not always the case. Sometimes the woman brings more masculine energy and the man brings more feminine energy. But it's important that there's polarity to it. If both people have feminine energy, if somebody with a lot of feminine energy is in a relationship, they're going to have a hard time wanting to connect to a person with a lot of feminine energy. Now, neither masculine nor feminine energy is good or bad. It just is. So a feminine energy is much more creative and free flowing. It's more up and down and not as steady. And that's a good thing because it helps create. Where masculine energy is more logical, it's more rational, it's more grounded. So as the feminine is creating and flowing, it's pushing up against this masculine energy. And if the roots are there, it's kind of like a tree. If the roots are there and it's solid, the feminine is going to feel safe to express herself, to open up, to be her. That's exciting to a partner who has a lot of feminine energy, to find a masculine energy that they can be in a relationship with. So feminine energy can look like, if you're a man in a relationship and you never have an opinion, you always back down to your spouse, you don't have your own truths, you're not showing up with masculine energy. Now, I'm not talking about being a pompous, chauvinistic jerk. That's not masculine energy either. But I'm talking about being grounded and knowing who you are as a man. You're able to hold that energy so the woman can be her. Sometime with the feminine, she'll step into being the masculine energy. She'll take charge all the time. She'll be firm on her opinions, and not to say that that's a bad thing, but to overstep into, I'm going to tell you who you are as a man and what you should and shouldn't do. That's going to make you feel unsafe in the relationship, because you feel like, I'm not in a relationship with a real man, right? So I'd say back off of that, and just assess to see how the polarity in your relationship really is. Now, there's a lot more to this, you guys, but that's really important to have that yin and yang in a relationship. It's hard to have attraction when you're both flowing in the same types of energy. Okay. So again, number 1 is safety. Number 2 is polarity. Number 3 is so important. And it's, let me tell you a little story. It's to introduce what this is. I've done couples therapy for years, over a decade now. And people come into couples therapy, and what they do is they sit on my couch and they say, that person over there sucks. They need to change, because they're hurting me. The things that they're doing, they're hurting me, and they better change. And once they change, then I'll be happy. There's a big problem. And the problem with that is that person who's saying that is now a victim of them. That they're stuck behind waiting for that other person to change in order for them to find peace and happiness in their life. Now, one of the most critical pieces to be able to attract your wife or your husband, to get them to want to be in a relationship with you, is that you love yourself. Now, I'm not saying anything that you probably don't already know. But if you don't know who you are, you don't have that self-confidence, you haven't done your own work to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, then you're not going to be attractive to your spouse. So your work is to figure out who you are, to be able to have the courage to step into who you are, to be able to have the kindness and the humility to express that in a confident way. And as you do that, you'll send out to the other person, hey, I'm a strong person. I have solidarity in who I am. That's so attractive to a partner. So if you're waiting for them to change so that you can be happy, then you're still stuck in a victim state. You're resonating down in these lower levels of shame and blame and fear and anger. That's not going to be attractive. But if you turn and you say, hey, I might be struggling with my own self-worth. So what work do I need to do now so that I can resonate in peace, acceptance, love? I can have my boundaries that are solid, yet I can be a loving, kind, and patient spouse. You're going to be attractive then. So the focus is on you, you guys. You can totally change your relationship without them changing one darn thing. Okay? So if you want your spouse to want you, again, these 3 things: safety, polarity, and self-love. Have a good one. See you guys.